Hi, so my name is Rebekah, as you know, and I'm a rising senior at Canyon Coast Academy in San Diego, California. My main project consists of these 3 concept dresses. In my first dress design, I combined both elements of 3D printing and thermochromic dyed fabrics, which are fabrics that change color when heat is applied. My assistant here will give you a demo of how that works. So as you can see, when he applies heat from his hands, it changes the color to be white. I also have a time-lapse video of the back of my first dress design changing color over the duration of 15 minutes. So to heat up these dyed fabrics, I hand-sewed conductive heater fabrics, which are literally just fabrics that heat up when current is applied through it underneath. To control the amount of power passing to these heater fabrics, I integrated an Arduino Flora, which, as you know, is a microcontroller that takes in code from my computer, and an electronic switch that uses a smaller voltage to control a higher current, the MOSFET, the N-channel MOSFET, which I have stored all in here. So my second dress is completely 3D printed, and then my third dress is completely made up of the thermochromic dyed fabrics. I'm currently in the midst of modifications where I'm adding microservos into the fabrics of this third dress to give the effect of the fabric moving. So there was a lot of reiterating and material testing in my design process, especially because 3D printing was the biggest roadblock in my project. While I've had experience with 3D printing before, I've never worked with this flexible neither I nor anyone around me had ever worked with this flexible filament before. And it was really important for my project because I needed something that was soft and flexible to mimic clothing, and standard 3D printer filaments aren't that flexible, and they're more rigid and hard. So and as before this project, usually when I'm 3D printing, it was always just push this button, that button, and then print, but this project severely showed me how wrong I was. I ran into so many problems with this NinjaFlex filament and the MakerBot Replicator 2 printer. The filament was sporadically extrude too thin, or not extrude at all. I researched ways to fix these problems and found that by changing a few settings in the printer, it would fix this. So I lowered the retraction speed, I raised the temperature, and I dramatically slowed down the print speed. And I found that the printer was printing out my prints more consistently. But after about 4 successful prints, the printer stopped being reliable. I ultimately realized that what was happening was the extruder temperature would drop while the print was going on, and thus not being hot enough and not being able to extrude. Despite being the older and unrecommended version by MakerBot, I downloaded the MakerBot desktop software version because it gave me more control over the printer settings and ultimately solved my problem. Despite all my frustrations with all these printings, with all this printing stuff, I am really grateful for this experience because I now know possibly everything about 3D printer settings and how each setting affects each print. Before Bluestamp, I could not tell you the difference between a battery and a wire, but now I can tell you how to check if current is running through something, how to program in the Arduino IDE, and that Google is quite literally your best friend. Thank you for listening.
What kind of challenges do you think you'll run into if you jump scale to a full body size dress?
I think the main challenge would be, again, the 3D printing, because the 3D printing that I use, which is filament 3D printing, it's just not capable of printing pieces that large scale. So I would need a different type of printer.
Or figure out a way to section.
Yeah, or I would have to split it into smaller sections and then sew the pieces together into a full dress.
I have a question. Which one's your favorite of the three?
That's a good question. Honestly, I really like this dress the most because it combined like both of what these two had, which is the fabric on the back and then the 3D printing on the front.
So this one on the left is one we saw the video of?
Yes, that's just the yeah.
Have you thought about doing full body scans of people so that you can 3D print dresses that are made for their body?
Yeah, that's what I hope to move on to, is doing like full body dresses.
And have you sent your video to Heidi Klum and Michael Kors?